Hi there, Nation. This week, Joe is chatting with Rossana Corniel from Booksprout to talk about the platform and more, so stay tuned.
Hey, it's Joe Solari with Author Nation, and today we're doing an episode from Durham, and we have Rossana Corniel from Booksprout. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks.
So we were talking just before we got started here. We first kind of met through the Wide for the Win group. So you're involved in that and Booksprout and writing.
Yeah, I do everything in the book industry. I got my fingers everywhere.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and like what you're publishing and the stuff you're doing with Wide for the Win, and then of course we'll talk about Booksprout in depth.
Oh, great. Thank you for asking about my books. It is what got me into this industry in the first place. So, I don't know. Before COVID, I had started a novel, and it was just like off and on. And something about COVID like pushed people everywhere to do things probably they didn't think of doing, like moving to across the U.S., and doing all kinds of stuff. And it pushed me to want to publish my book and pursue writing more intensively. So from there, I took courses and I learned and I tried to figure it out how to self-publish, and I published my first book. It was it's like magic realism, which is not a big genre for indie.
Learned by publishing?
Yes, that's what I did. I learned the hard way with that one. And then I went on to, take a course that really put, a lot of effort into understanding how to market, how to write to market, how to package the product correctly, how to do the right book covers, and, all the things. I learned all the things. It was a great program. And then from there, it's my biggest passion. It's probably like next to my husband, it's the love of my life and my children.
Yeah.
And also in the process, I got a job working at Booksprout. So it just worked out really well.
And, so let's kind of give people context for Booksprout that may not know what they are and how the company serves the publishing market.
So Booksprout is a business that came from the mind of a also self-published author. It's usually hard
filling all the holes that we've find in the market.
Yeah, which there were many back in 2017 when he created this whole program. And he learned, what's the right way to launch a book, what's the right way to generate reviews for that book early on. And then he also learned how terribly taxing that process is and how annoying. So especially if you're an author and you're taking on every aspect of the book, and then on top of that to add the whole load of managing a review team, it's a whole bigger process. So he said, how can we streamline this? And this is how he thinks. He's also a software developer. This is his trade. This is an engineer. He knows this very well. So he found a way to design a process that would manage it very efficiently. It was so efficient, and it took off, and it's done really well over the course of the past what are we at? 7 years in the market now, and it's done really well. And now we service over 45,000 authors.
Wow, I didn't know it was
worldwide.
That big.
They work with us at some degree. We don't always have 45,000 paying authors, but if they're on our free plan, if they're at some point at touch point with us, we still count them as part of our author community, because they can come. They may come back. They may not have a review campaign today, but at some point they might come back. So that's how our universe is captured. And then we also have about 3.9 million reviews that our platform has generated for these authors.
Wow.
In all places books are sold.
Cool. Yeah. So why don't we, one of the things we've been doing with Author Nation is really kind of helping people think through when we're talking about companies like Booksprout or, different software, is how this really is integral to processes. So we're really going to talk a lot about why reviews are important and the whole agony of going through the initial part of your author career where you're trying to get reviews. Like, it's easy once you kind of get things going, right? Like you just get organic reviews, and but in the beginning, when you don't have an audience and you're just getting started, and it's so important because of social proof to have reviews. Like, this is a big conundrum for people.
Right. And I think that's what the thing is that people are like, I know it's important. all of us know it's important. Like if you go to the doctor's office now, they're like, oh, you'll get like, we'll cover your copay if you leave us a review. Like that's kind of the thing I'm getting everywhere I go. This has happened to me. Yeah. Like they'll cover my copay if I leave everywhere that you go. They're like, if you like our service, will you leave a review? So when it comes to authors and the book industry, it's like, of course, it's the same thing. It's not like I need to go find a bunch of data. I can prove to you how important this is. I can show you from data that the algorithm will definitely treat you better if you have reviews. Some of these book promotion sites won't even take your book unless you have reviews. So it is absolutely important. But it is like you're so focused on getting the words on the page and fixing that typo on page 530. And you're so focused on, oh my God, but the art, I don't like the character on the cover, because you're thinking about so many things. Your brain has to go into so many different places, both creatively and productively, that you don't, you're going to lose control. Something's going to slip. New or old or mature author, it's gonna slip. So you gotta find a way to offload as much as you can if you can.
So like if I'm somebody that's getting started, I got 0 reviews, I don't even launch a book, like how far ahead of my book launch should I be thinking about a review strategy, and what kind of things should I be like, because you said things slip, like when do I need to start thinking about this and start putting things in place?
Practically, you can do it within a month of your launch. But would I do that if I could do it again and be more careful? That's me telling you that because of the one single author that might be listening that might be like, all I have is a month left. How do I do this now? You still have time. You have time up until the day you launch. You can repair anything. But if you're in an ideal world and you're trying to get ahead of the game and you're trying to scope out your whole production schedule for a year and you've mapped this stuff out carefully, then start thinking about this 3 months before your launch.
So 90 days, yeah.
At least 90 days. But if you're like up against it and you're like, I need this date, I already set my pre-order date and I haven't put any thought into this. If you have 2 weeks, you can still get some results, but ideally try to, plan it for 3.
Good. And so I'm 3 months out, and what are some of the things I should be thinking, and what kind of best practices have you seen people do to get reviews coming in? Yeah.
Are you a new author or are you an established author?
Let's talk mainly new authors, because I think, that's when it's the hardest. That's when it's the most daunting. That's when you're like, I know everyone tells me I need them and I have no idea how to even go about this.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the hardest part is for the new authors. So how do you start like 3 months out? Is kind of
I'm just like, if somebody's really thinking about this is the first time they hear about this and they're like, oh yeah, I know reviews are important. I mean, I know when you think yourself, like you said, there's a lot of data out on this, but also just think how you go about determining a product you're going to buy, right? Yeah. Like you look at the cover, you look at the blurb, it sounds interesting. Most likely place your eyes are going to go next is how many reviews are there? Are there 7? Are there 0? Are there 7,000? Are there 106,000? Right? Like you see, thousands of reviews, then inside there's this feeling of like, oh, all these other people think it's good. It's probably going to be good. But when you see so many books with not a lot of reviews, that it's a bit of a barrier to entry. So
absolutely,
let's help those folks out.
Okay. Yeah. We're experts. Come to the right place.
Yeah.
So, I say, and this is kind of what we're really talking about a lot at Booksprout. It's kind of like where we came to have like an understanding of what brand, how do we want to exist in this world, and how do we see ourselves as a company, servicing authors. And our goal, and me talking to you, is always to speak from a point of view of like best practice, regardless if you use my platform or not. Use any service you want. Just know that this is what we've come to understand is a best practice for an author to have success. And like, it's not an overnight success. Not with reviews, not with book sales, not with anything. So it applies to reviews. And I have to say that a lot because a lot of authors come on and they'll be like, I paid the fee. I should have had 500 reviews. What happened? And it's like, well, is your cover okay? Did you get your book professionally edited? Did you get a good did you format it using, quality software product that does it well for the service? Did you provide a good file to us, a non-corrupt file? How's it look on your user's end? Did you test it before you shared it? And that's where it starts. That's where a good review starts. It starts with you having done all the other stuff right and go through that painful process. And I wrote an article about this because that goes on our blog, that it's like, how do you make the most of our free plan? And our free plan does not allow you to get any reviews, but it forces you to think through every single step of the process before you actually pay us $1. So you're going to think through, what's your pen name? What pen name are you putting out there into the world? Does that match the one that's on your book cover? And did you type it in correctly? Like, these are the things that it takes time, and don't wait to the last minute. Don't make reviews an afterthought, because it is actually, this person is weighing in on your entire product. And you've had to have done your homework. So that's where the review starts. Like, it starts with you having done everything else right until the point that you're ready to hire Booksprout. So then let's say you come into our platform and you're on the free plan and it's 3 months out and everything else is right. Yeah, you've got your book cover. You've talked to, you've had a beta reader go through your book. You've had it professionally edited. You've done all the things to warrant your book being a quality product. Now, and you still got 3 months to go before your review. What's going to happen now? You're going to go to other authors' books that are like yours. So you're going to find an author that your book is like, it's of a similar genre, similar kind of tropes and themes. The covers look similar, where if somebody picks up that book, they're going to already know what to expect and it's what they're looking for. You're going to go to those authors' reviews and make sure that they're a best-selling author in the indie space. Don't look to traditional publishing for doing this example.
Okay.
But you're going to spend the next 3 months reading the reviews of those other authors. And you're going to spend the next 3 months understanding who these readers are. Where do they live? Who are they? What do they like? And how can you bring them into your review community somehow? And that takes time to build as well.
No, that's really powerful to think. I know people don't like necessarily reading their own reviews.
Yeah.
But going and reading others and how much information you can glean from that about what the desire is in the marketplace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, do that before you write your book if you can.
Yeah.
That's
right. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's kind of the lesson I learned, where I put a whole series out there. I have a paranormal romance and I've written about 5 books in that particular series. And, it was a long process where I had this great storyline and I had all these great ideas of the story and I wanted to execute it a certain way. But once I started to get to know what the other authors were writing and how those and really dug into the reviews, because I knew what I liked, but I didn't know why. I wasn't articulating everything to that degree. But these are reviewers take their reviews very seriously. Good reviewers.
Yes.
And there's millions out there. And they take the time to identify, what was the trope that really hooked them? What are the tropes that they really like? What didn't they like? Was it a whiny character where she's supposed to be a heroine and a kick-ass? And if she's too whiny at the beginning, you'll lose the character. So you've got to kind of maybe weave in that she's got some strengths at the very beginning, but they're not going to really shine until the end. Then the readers are going to hook into you. But you don't know that until you read the reviews.
No, that's really...
Things like that.
Yeah.
Little nuances.
So, does anything differ if I'm going wide versus focusing on Amazon? How does that play into the whole review process?
Yeah, well, our platform allows you to review on all of the platforms where digital books are available. We have a link, and even just review sites like BookBub and Goodreads, where you can't actually buy a book, but reviews are a big part of discovery there. Our platform will facilitate the review process for all of them equally. The only thing is Amazon tends to be a bit more of a pain in the butt, you know.
And why is that?
I don't know. Go ask them. They'll tell you 1,000 reasons.
But you're talking more from a technical perspective.
Right.
Okay,
they'll we'll get my review's delayed. Why is it delayed? Well, we're over here I don't know.
Yeah. And I remember years ago when we were doing a lot of stuff with books, and, you know, especially in those early days when some of the people that are giving you reviews are like friends and family, and
Right.
how you almost need to coach them not to be doing certain things that's going to get those reviews flagged for being friends and family.
Yeah.
Can you have any tips on kind of current practices around, like, as you're building your review team, how you help them, you know, write good reviews that don't get kicked off? And
Oh yeah. Okay. So I this isn't to answer that question directly, but I should like leave like this caveat around this Amazon reviews, because like Amazon is just tricky. It might not even be because you're friends and family. You know, I know I've tried to leave other authors I have no connection to, and they'll just delay that one review. Why? I don't know. You know, and it happens on our platform too. They'll delay one review from one reader. I'm on the platform. I've gotten reviews through it. And this unknown person's single review is being delayed. Why? There's theories. Maybe that person hasn't spent $50 this month on Amazon. And so therefore, Amazon's not allowing them to review anything. And these are things that you hear that are industry rumblings. I need Amazon to come sit here and answer hard questions for me for about an hour so I can give you good answers.
Yeah, me too. I got a lot of this.
How do I know? I don't know. I know my friends and family supported so far 2 of my early books, and 100% were friends and family very close to me. I probably have bought and shipped stuff to them, and 100% of their reviews got posted. You know, I didn't have Booksprout. I did it all by myself. I got 26 reviews from just people doing me nice favors. And they were all close friends and family that lived in even the zip code was the same. So like, honestly, like, is Amazon that hard on people? Maybe. I can't speak from that experience. And I don't know what's going on with other people. So I would just say, like, as far as that, I don't know. But as far as like, how do you get it going when you're a new author? How do you get that visibility? How do you get access to readers that can read your book and leave a decent review and then try, make that effort to get out there? Yeah, I do say, and I do think it's a really smart and good decision. Go ahead and start with your friends and family, and you can. Don't be so scared of that caveat with Amazon. Don't be so scared that that's going to happen, especially for your first book, because you need that good feeling.
Yeah.
You need that reinforcement, and it didn't happen to me. I don't know how many people it happened to, but I would take the risk and just do it just because it feels good. But on the top of that, you can, go and if you use Booksprout, we have a huge reader community. We have over, 115,000 active readers at any given point in time. I think there's over 200,000 in our database at any given point in time. But how many are active today is probably somewhere around 100,000. And that's a lot of readers. And so you'll pick up new readers on our platform. A lot of people do. They might not do it right away. And it might take time, and there is still, like I said, you're a new author. Everything's going to take refining and figuring out the right keywords. And, it's all going to take a little bit extra time. But you can find readers on our platform. You can find readers go to Facebook, go to Instagram, post it, like ask. And then you will eventually build up a reader. People want to help you. They're out there.
Yeah. One thing you made me think about was, going back to the idea of like, taking 3 months if you can, is this whole concept of like, you have your schedule, like, I'm launching a book, I want people to read it and review it, but you forget that like in that community you have 100,000 people, let's say. How many of those people are in the middle of a book right now, right? Like there's things that you got to think about, that it's not your time frame, it's their time frame. You're asking them to commit time to a book. And then to do a really big thing, which is write a review. Now, granted, they're on your platform, they like to write reviews. But I think about products that I really enjoy and probably use every day, and I've never written a review for them. Right. It's a big ask. It is a big ask. Yeah.
And I do want to clarify about the 3 months. I didn't mean that's when you should make your book publicly available for reviews. I meant that's when you start your homework.
Yeah.
And then, so if my launch date, give it 3 weeks. Give it 3 weeks from your launch date for people to read the book and write the review. 3 weeks.
Okay, 3 weeks.
Yeah. I just want to clarify so there's no listener confusion. But that 3 month period is where You're kind of like doing your research. You're figuring it out. You're saying, am I wide? Am I just Amazon Kindle? Where am I going to live? And if I am on Amazon, I have to generate the link. So it means I have to have a pre-order up. So it means I have to create and generate a pre-order on Amazon's platform. That's a whole hours of work.
Yes.
Creating your pre-order platform. So you need to create that link. And then it takes I think 48 hours before the link is even available in live. So you have to have all those mechanisms in place and then give me the link over at Booksprout. And that all takes time. And if you're doing that on 4 platforms, you're doing it on Google Play, Kobo, Apple Books, and Amazon, then that's going to take, each one has its time. So all of that builds up. So don't go waiting to the last minute to do that. Get everything done, do it over a course of 3 months so you can do it in between your son's bar mitzvah, whatever else you got going on.
Right.
You're not like, oh my God, I'm launching a book and I have all this stuff to do. Plus I have to get reviews.
Yeah. So if I am on the platform and I'm still thinking about somebody, like maybe I've already launched my first book. Let's say things go swimmingly well and I get 20 reviews. Like that's pretty awesome results for your first book ever.
Totally.
Right. More likely it's 4.
Right.
What's kind of the process as I'm releasing and like having you guys have all this background data that you can see? Do you have any insights into how over time, like the momentum builds and there starts to become like an actual review team that's interested in this brand?
Yes.
All right, let's hear it.
That's the magic.
Yeah, let's hear it.
That's the Booksprout magic. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, we have a term, we call it review momentum.
Okay.
And it is the magic that happens if you're an indie author and you decide, I'm sticking in this business. This isn't my first book. This is my first book. It's not my only book. I've got 30 more to go. I'm bought into the whole concept of 20 books to 50K. I'm mass producing and I need to get to that level of income on a yearly basis so I can quit my day job. This is what a lot of people aspire for. So to get to that concept, you have to put the mechanisms in place. So it's you're creating a brand, you're bringing people on a constant basis. It's a funnel effect. And then at the end of the day, they're going to be there to 1, review every single book, and 2, buy every single book you launch. So you need these 2 audiences. You need your reader reviewers and you need your paid readers. And you need both of them. And one helps facilitate the other happens.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, you can use a platform like ours, where we have a really cool feature where readers can follow you. So if they liked your book and let's say they give you a 4 to 5 star review, I hate it. Like, don't ever do this. Like, as an author, especially new authors, please, guys, if you see a 4-star review, please don't be disappointed. Think of that as a huge achievement and congratulations. Even a 3 is like not bad. And this whole stigma bothers me because what's wrong with a 4? Like, am I William Shakespeare? Like,
well, I would argue that having all 5-star reviews is almost as bad as not having any, because there's a legitimacy to various reviews. Like, just think to yourself, which are the reviews you go and read? Like, you probably go read some 1 and 2-star reviews for like, how bad is this thing? Or is there some laughs here? But you probably are getting more information from the 3 and 4-star people. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You get more information and you get that legitimacy. This isn't my aunt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is somebody that genuinely read the whole book and had something to say about it. And it was positive. And in the reviewer community, and this is where the reviewer community and the author community kind of have a little friction, especially if you're a new author and you don't really you're not understanding what's going on. All the authors typically want 5-star reviews. All the readers reserve the right to say, look, I really liked your book. I thought it was great. But is it my favorite of all time to give it 5 stars? It's just not. I loved, Gone with the Wind. It's just up there. And that's the only book I'll ever give a 5-star. But I'll give you 4. I thought your book was awesome. I couldn't find anything wrong with it. So like that kind of love from a reader, if we have to acknowledge that, like you can't look at that. And Amazon doesn't penalize you. And I think other readers looking for a book, I'd like to hope they don't penalize you either if they don't see that whole rack of 5 stars up on your profile. You know,
Yeah.
I'd like to hope that a discovery reader doesn't look at that and say, you know what, that I don't want to read that book because it doesn't have 5 stars all across the board. Like, you know what I mean? I hope.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, times have changed, of course, because of you know, how things are and in my own career. But, you know, in the beginning, it was like, it was all about kind of the rating. But I think in some respects, it is just the number of reviews, right? That's really showing a lot. And seeing how those reviews, like when I'm doing analysis now and I look at an author series, I don't really care. Like, if they've got like 2.5 stars, like it's obvious that something's broke. But like, if they're rolling in 4.5 ish, and I'm looking at the number of reviews and how fast are they falling off across the series, right? Because when you can't see an audience sticking through that, then that shows that the series is kind of dying. And there's so many other things you can pull out of reviews than just, you know, I know we're talking about advanced stuff now, but like, it does really give you a good health barometer of how the series and book to book is doing.
Absolutely. And on the other side, if your first book is 3.5 star, but all the others in the series have 4.5 to 5, then what does that tell you about the quality of that book as well? It means that probably book 1 got in the hands of a bunch of readers that it wasn't for by marketing or whatever the case, or what maybe they expected something from the cover. And then once they finished the series, they're like, oh, and they got invested with the characters, and the writing was enough to bring them all the way along and make them get that 5 stars all the way through. And like, that's where it's reader feedback, and that constant loop is how you're going to make it in this and any industry. What do they say? Something like 10,000 hours of doing anything, you become an expert.
Yeah.
That's like somebody said, I think it was Steve Jobs, or I can't remember who.
I can't remember. It's one of those guys.
It's one of those sayings that you get, right?
Yeah.
So but I think there's truth to that, because in all of those hours, a part of those hours is me reading my own reviews and me getting feedback from my readers, my beta readers or my reviewers or whoever it is. And I'm taking that in and I'm applying it back into the work that I produce. So it means that there's momentum behind my work. It's building on what I've already created. It's creating this growth scale over time. And that's where we come back to the part of review momentum, because as you build your author platform, as you get more and more books out, those people hook into you, they follow you on our platform, and every time you release a book, they're going to get notified and dinged that there's a new arc available. So that's how in 2 or 3 books down the line, or 2 or 3 series down the line, right out the gate, you're launching with like 100 reviews.
Yeah. And I think that's when you, like you said earlier, it's all about that momentum, not just on that one book, but across your whole career. That, you know, if you give up early because you think, oh, this is just too hard, it's like you're really not getting that stuff that's going to compound out 2 to 5 years from now, where, like you say, books launch and there's people like waiting to be on your review team. And I know 2 things you made me think about. One is I was talking with an author who publishes other authors, and he shared he had worked with this author. The initial book the author pitched was different than what they turned in. And he took that book to his review, his like internal beta readers, and they read it, and it came back bad. And what that meant to this publisher was like, he read it and it's like, it's a good book. Like, it's just not good for my audience.
Yeah.
So he told this person, go out and release it, but I can't release this to my audience because you'll not have the results you want. They're gonna ding the book because this is what they desire. Like they have certain things, a certain level of lightness, you know, a certain level of violence, whatever it might be. Sometimes it's not that the book is bad; it's that you're putting the wrong book into an audience that has different expectations, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where it's about refining and constantly being out there. And you really have to love and live and breathe this industry to understand that and to create this product that is going to constantly sell and create and generate revenue for you.
Yeah.
Which is what we ultimately want. We want to see a future here. And how does that future happen? It's not an overnight. If you did click on that low content, make 6 figures with low content publishing books ad, then don't come to Booksprout. Please don't upload. We're okay. You're just gonna want your money back.
Yeah.
Our reviewers won't review it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna get, like, you're gonna hate us. You're probably gonna post on Reddit that we suck just because you followed the advice of somebody that wants you to have an overnight success. And we can't promise that. We don't have that philosophy.
Well, and the reality is that one, reviews are hard. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. When you look at the context of reviews and the fact that, you look at Rebecca Yarros, who has 6 figures in reviews on one book, versus people that are making several $1 million a year that maybe they're lucky they're getting 5,000 or 6,000 reviews on a book. So, like, you only getting a couple hundred is amazing. When you think of I don't know, do you have any data on the number of readers to actual reviews? Like, I just would think it would be dismal.
Well, I can tell you what we track, like 1,300 reviews posted a day.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of reviews going out there every day. And I'm like, there'll be that feedback from that author that'll say, I used you guys, I didn't get a single review. I'm like, well, there were 1,400 posted the day you expected yours. So I can't tell you why you didn't get it, but I know a bunch of people did.
But no, when I'm it's like if we all saw the data on how many reader magnets actually get read, we'd probably jump out a window. But it's still a really efficient way to get an audience. So we can't give up because it's low. But I'm just wondering. So if there's 1,300, 1,400 reviews a day that come through, how many would you have any feel for, like, how many books? I guess you wouldn't see which books got read.
Yeah, it's like data mining. I'd have to dig. I could see it, probably find it. If it led to something tangible for marketing purposes, I might do it.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, if you figured out that, actual read to review count on average across the platform is 1%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that just helps everyone get, framed in a better context of, like, well, based on my size, that in fact I only got 14 reviews is pretty good.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I can go and see that I've sold this many copies on Amazon and it's 3%. So I got, I'm triple what people see out in the industry. I think that would be really something that, would be interesting to just help people understand they're not underperforming the industry, right?
Right.
There's so much of what's in the industry is mythology. Like, you go to conferences and you hear everyone talking about how much money they're making. It's like, no. Like, if you made $10,000 in your lifetime, you're in the top 10% of the industry. Nobody wants to talk about that, that's selling a course or whatever, but it's like, that's the reality. Those are the numbers, right?
Right.
Now, we go to conferences and we go to these things where we're hanging out with people that are doing this for a living.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so our data pool is skewed towards the success rate, right? Right. But we don't think that. It's like, oh, I'm just comparing myself to this pool and I'm not doing as well as these 5 people on stage.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And
not looking at the 3,000 people in the audience.
It's hard. It's hard. This industry is a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And you can try to get practical with it. And you could try to say, you know what, I'm doing good. I'm all right. But if you're not paying all your bills and you still have to pay for the cover of your next one and you still have to pay for a new software that's going to help you manage review teams, and then you got to pay for your cover designer, and you're like, but I just broke even on my last launch and I have to go invest a lot to launch another book. So that's where this has to be a passion for me. This has to just be something if you're in that situation and you're like all the numbers aren't matching and you're frustrated, then you have to either lean on the fact that this is just a passion you're going to continue to feed until it produces, or find another thing.
There's that. I think the other part of what you're talking about and stuff that I've talked about on this podcast and other things I've been on is that, what you just talked about is if your first launch you broke even on, congratulations, right? And if you're not thinking about, 10 to 15 books before break even over depending what kind of time you're going to write, if you're a fast writer, we tend to lose sight that this is a startup business, right? And it's going to take time to get the money. No one talks about that. Well, I do, but most people don't. It's like, hey, you're a startup business, and if it took you 3 to 5 years to break even on the whole thing, that's the average, right? And you're really in a small group of people that get there, because most business, like half of businesses fail in their first year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like to not give up and get to that point, that's where tends to be where things break out and things go viral. No, you've been doing this for 3 to 5 years, and
right.
you've got everything happening now, and you've got your review team, and you've got a practice that works, and you finally have gotten it where people believe that you're going to put books out when you say you're going to. Right.
That's a whole thing, because once you build this rapport with your readers, and you've built up your Instagram and you built up your Facebook, and they're expecting you to post something, and they want to be part of your community, especially in the romance industry. I'm not sure about everybody else, but I'm pretty sure it's similar, where people like hook into you and then you go silent because life came up and you've got a year, 2 years that you don't produce anything and put anything out. They're going to move on.
Oh yeah.
They're going to move on. And that's another reality that people have to you have to lean into and know that this industry is like that. And I like how you're putting this business framework around it, and that you're like, let's just be real from a numbers perspective. You have to have that laid out and expected of what you're willing to live with, what you're willing to do, and what you're willing to put into this industry to make it work, regardless of what logic exists. How much are you willing to do? And then make that some sort of boundary or threshold for you, and that this is going to be your make or break. I think that it really is a thing where you have to be committed at that level, or you're never going to see the results that you expect, or these big results, or this 50,000 income a year. It's gonna still be so elusive unless you put this effort into it.
No, I agree. I think that unfortunately, the too much, it's this survivor bias, right? It's people honestly believe it when they say it, when they get up and they say, I'm a 7-figure author, I was stay-at-home single mom, and I did this, so you can too. Mm-hmm. And that's not always that's not how it works. If there's one person that's a millionaire author, that means there's all these others that don't succeed, right? Mm-hmm. That's how the curve plays out. So, that shouldn't, I say that stuff, and sometimes people are like, well, that's really demotivating, and it shouldn't be. It should just help you to understand that what success looks like in this industry isn't all one thing. There's really you finding what, what's right for you, but understand that for you, even if you are to someday become a 7-figure author, you have to start with 0, with no reviews, with an impossible, just seems like an impossible task. You don't even know where to start from. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about let's be grounded in reality. You wrote an amazing book.
Yeah.
You wrote the book of all books. This book, there's not a single book better in the world. But if you don't market it right, if you don't get it in front of the right eyeballs and readers to read it, it's not going to sell anything. And then if you don't follow that up with another great book within another short period of time afterwards, where you've engaged your readers, you've hooked them into your inner universe. And these days, everybody needs to be hooked in. You need to have a newsletter. You need to have a social media page. Pick one you like, whatever one, just pick one. And you have to have that. And then you have to have, your book cover done, and your ads going, and your promo stacking, and your whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it just makes sense, though. If this is the best coffee shop in all of Raleigh-Durham area, but nobody knows, how are they going to go buy coffee there?
Right. Right.
You never told anybody that it's the best. You just happen to start selling it. Word of mouth only gets you so far these days.
Yeah. Well, that's that audience as an asset idea, where you
Yes.
really, like you say, it could be the best book in the world, and if you don't have an audience, nobody knows. And you could have a kind of mediocre book and a good audience and kill it. Yeah.
50 Shades of Grey. Is that- Can we talk about that? That's an amazing book. Yeah. I mean, that's like, life is just crazy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us, is there other things that come along with the paid features that, you know, like if somebody's like using Booksprout to its full extent?
Sure.
What does that look like?
Yeah. So what we have with Booksprout, we have 3 plans for authors, and then we have the publisher plan. I'm not going to bother talking about that because it's, you know, it's if you're publishing a bunch of books, or you're a publisher.
Yeah.
But our plans are 3 levels. We have the growing author, $9 a month, and that allows you to run a review campaign, 1 review campaign at a time. Mm-hmm. So if you load a book and you run a review campaign and you end the date of that campaign and you want to run a new campaign with the same book, you can. So it doesn't limit the amount of campaigns you can run per book. It just says you can only run that one book we can only run it one at a time. Mm-hmm. So you could upload another book and run that campaign, but you can't run 2 in parallel, and you can't run the same book, at the same time. It will publish with multiple formats. Mm-hmm. If you do audiobook, ebook, PDF, you can run all that. That's all part of your 1 review campaign, but you can only do that 1 at a time. If you do the middle of the road, the growing author, mm-hmm. then that's the $19 a month. Oh, sorry. No, that's the pro author. The growing author is the $9. The pro author is the $19. And that allows you to run 3 review campaigns at a time. So if you have you're running a series, you have more than 1 book, you have more than 1 pen name, I do recommend you go ahead and do that, because that will also open up your review campaign limits and the amount of people that can join your campaigns at a time. It opens up a few more possibilities for you, and it tends to work really well if you're just, you've got a few books out there. Mm-hmm. Then with our best-selling author plan, you can run unlimited campaigns.
Okay.
And you can add a virtual assistant, which I think is good for a lot of people, which means another person can manage your account. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to look at the platform if you don't want to. You just be done with that. But it's helpful if you have multiple pen names and multiple books running out at the same time and things like that.
Cool. So. And you've got a special deal that we've put together for the Author Nation community. You want to talk about that?
We do. We wanted to come on here and bring you guys a special gift, and thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And what we're offering your listeners is a free month.
Awesome.
So wherever you put your special link, and you have to use that unique link, because that unique link is the only way to get this discount. Mm-hmm. If you go to our website, you won't be able to access the free month. And the way the free month works is that you have to stick with us for 60 days. So you do have to pay for a month. Okay. But you will get 1 free. And if you buy the annual plan, you'll get a discount on the annual plan of a month.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. You want to... We're at the end here, so you got anything else you want to share with folks about Booksprout, where they can find you? Any shameless plug, whatever?
Shameless plug? Oh, I'm kind of nervous about that, because we have some big news.
We'll let it out.
Now's the time. Okay, because this is new for us. We're just now sharing this with the world. This is something we've had under wraps for a while. We are launching a brand new software. Okay, it's coming sometime this year.
All right.
It's going to rock everybody's world because it is amazing. I have to say, I've worked in this industry. I've launched 7 books now, but I'm working on 3 more. I also write children's books. And so I know how cool this thing is. It's called AuthorBase. Okay. And it's to help you help wide authors but also anybody exclusive to Amazon, but you don't really need it if you just have one sales platform. But we help manage all the sales reporting.
Oh, cool.
For all your universe of books.
Awesome.
And we're going to start. So if you go to authorbase.com, which is a super easy website, and then you'll get to see the teaser video and sign up if you're interested in maybe joining our beta
Awesome.
our beta program that's going to roll out, and we'll test. So if you do join beta, just a little caveat, like there might be some little bugs that we're still working out, and that's why we call it beta. That's going to come sooner than the actual launch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been awesome having you on.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out and
Thank
making
you.
the time. I know you had a little bit of a drive to get here, but
Oh, it's totally worth it. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love getting to know North Carolina and just see how pretty it is everywhere you go.
yeah, we do too. And that's the whole idea of us doing this. We're coming around and seeing folks a little closer at home than
Yeah, it's
having
nice to be
having
in
wait to get-
person.
yeah, go
This
out to
is really
Vegas.
cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool to have come see you.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All
thanks
right.
a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.